Honestly, who am I? Who am I right now? I can't even explain how uncomfortable and weird and life changing this season feels. And for a few weeks, I kind of went through a bit of a breakdown, thinking, holy crap, I'm going through an identity crisis. Here's my quarter life crisis happening. The world is ending, and I'm gonna fall into the cracks of the earth and die. Anyone else feel that way when big change happens? Welcome back to the Sunshine M's podcast. I am Emily. It's so good to see you guys. This is the first episode of this month's series. The series is called In Between Seasons. I am not super comfortable with being in between seasons of my life. So I kind of wanted to let you guys into this discomfort that I'm feeling and just let you know that you're not alone. This space can be really hectic, and I'd love to talk more on that. As a military kid, I had a weird experience with change. I love starting over. I love the feeling of starting over, starting fresh, setting up new expectations for myself and new ideas and new identities. But I hated change at the same time because change can be very disorienting. It can be uncomfortable. And honestly, I like routine. I like having habits that fit into who I am. But I'm also constantly evolving. I'm not who I was 4 years ago. I am not who I was 10 years ago. I'm not even who I was a year ago. And change can be so crazy when those habits that you once had that gave you structure and feelings of purpose and identity, those habits stop fitting. It's like, okay, who the hell am I? Or when the world still sees you as an old version that you are no longer. I thank God for changing. If I was still who I was, like, even just 4 years ago, I would not be here. I would not be sharing my opinions, my thoughts. I would not be comfortable enough to be who I am in many aspects of my life. I would still be begging for validation and affirmation and confirmation and any attention. So there are times where, people in my life who have seen me through different versions may see me as this version that was very people pleasy, that would let people walk all over her just for an ounce of validation. I'm not that person anymore. Thank God. It's difficult when people see you as older versions. Something that reminds me of this. I have a friend who's known me since I was like 14 years old. And he still sees me as this version of myself that I was when we met. When I was little Miss Innocent, didn't know who I was at 14 or 15. And we'll hang out sometimes and he'll be like, "Dang, you've really changed." I would hope so. It's been a decade. If I was still the same person as I was when I was 14, that would be a problem. But it's hard, As humans, we like certainty. We like identities because they make us feel safe. It feels safe to be in a box and fit in a label because letting go feels scary. Stepping out of boxes feels scary and uncomfortable and uncertain. The labels that I used to give myself are not the labels I give myself now. Even just last year, the labels that I give myself versus now are completely different. And the amazing thing about labels and identities is that they don't have to be fixed. They don't have to be one way or another. You can be whoever you want to be. You can identify as whatever you want to identify as. And it can change every day. There are some days where I feel more confident than others. There are some days where I feel like I am more me than other days. It's constantly changing. We are constantly changing and evolving. I used to identify as a cheerleader. That was like my main passion, my main purpose, my main focus, and everything that I did. I ate, slept, and breathed cheerleading. I don't cheer anymore. I don't even want to. There's a time, there are some times where I'm feeling nostalgic, but it's not a label that I wear anymore. And that's okay because I was not meant to be doing cheerleading for the rest of my life. I was meant to step out of that label, even if it was really uncomfortable to do so, because we like certainty and safety, and we like rules and regulations when it works for us. It's really difficult when we step out of those without recognizing. I think I realized this past year that this in between of being a student and a grad student was so uncomfortable. I mean, I've been a student my entire life. I've constantly been learning. And even when I was learning outside of a institution, I felt lost. Who am I if I'm not a student? Okay, well, I am kind. I am strong. I am still intelligent. I don't need a test score to show me that. But I used to. It felt like the validation of doing well in school meant so much to me that when I didn't have that validation of education standards, it left me feeling empty. Who am I if not someone who does someone who values education? I mean, I pushed away a lot of relationships because of my priority of education. I pushed away experiences because of my value of education. So when education stopped, even if it's for a pause, it was really mind altering. Okay, I'm not a student anymore, but I still love learning. Okay, I'm not getting tested. How can I get that same validation? So then I had to start looking inward, where I'm getting my validation from myself, not from numbers, but from character. And then I had friends in my life see that I'm no longer seeking validation from them in friendships. I'm no longer bending over backwards for constant appreciation from them. Some didn't even notice. The weird thing about being in the in between is that I'm not my old self, but I'm not my new self either. I am not ever going to be my final form until the end, right? Because we are constantly evolving and changing. But I'm also not who I want to be quite yet because I'm in this in between of feeling stuck, feeling confused, feeling alone. I have no clear identity besides the ones that I've always had. I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a hype woman. And so in these moments where I've no longer held the title of student or in college, I looked for other identities. I'm a podcaster now. I'm also a coach. I'm a wellness coach. I'm a nutrition coach. I focus on self-love. I put new labels because feeling without labels is hard for me. But it's okay to not have a clear identity because, again, we change every single day. There's some days where I am not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just relaxing. I'm just taking time to breathe and to be. And there's some days where I'm so productive, no one could stop me. We are constantly changing and evolving. So for a while, I was seeing all of this change as, oh my gosh, I'm going through an identity crisis. But now looking back and looking at it as at the big picture, this is growth. It is not clean cut. It is messy and uncomfortable and lonely. And I think I'm okay with that. We are not meant to live a life where we do things. I don't want to touch on that. So I do. So if you were going through this phase of being in the in between of seasons, I invite you guys to pause before labeling it as a identity crisis. Pause before identifying it as a breakdown. What has changed? Is it just the feeling? Is it the label? Is it the identity? Are you a bad person? No. Okay. So we aren't, evolving in the opposite way. We are still growing. We're constantly growing. I wish I had someone to listen to when I was going through this because I cried for weeks and months, and not a lot of people noticed just how confused I was that I was not me. But also, I'm really glad that I'm not me anymore. I'm really glad that I no longer seek validation externally. I'm not saying there aren't times where I don't like some external validation. I think we all do. But I no longer search it anymore. I am fulfilling myself. I don't need a score, constant attention. I think the only thing I do need is the support from my friends and family, from my loved ones. I'm going through I'm going through changes and I'm growing, and the most supportive people in my life right now are my parents and my sister. They might not understand what all I'm doing or understand the content I'm making or understand why I want to tell people so many things about my life. But they are listening to my content. They are, sharing things, liking things, putting it on their stories, reposting. They see me not as the old version of myself, but as someone who is not quite who I want to be yet. They see me in this in between phase, and instead of trying to rush me into a new version or tell me that they liked the old version, they're accepting me for who I am. And that is really amazing. I am super fortunate for having such supportive people in my corner. And maybe if you feel like you're having an identity crisis right now, maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're just in the middle of becoming someone new. Obviously, if you've read any book or watched any TV show or any movie, you know that the middle is never the neatest. It's the most awkward, uncomfortable climax of the stories. It's the nitty-gritty, the heartbreaking, but that's where the change happens most. So I just invite you guys to really sit in the discomfort and realize that even if it feels like this season is gross, you may not recognize yourself anymore. See it for what it is. You are growing. This is not a crisis. It's okay to change. We are not meant to be stagnant. We are like sharks, you have to keep swimming forward. So that was the beginning of March's series on the in between seasons. I wanted to tell you guys something very exciting. If you're on my Instagram or TikTok, you may have seen this, but if not, listen up. I am doing a mini series that will be coming out on Tuesdays as opposed to this series that comes out on Fridays. And in the mini series, I will be giving you guys advice, answering questions, reading comments, reading stories, and the mini series is called Golden Hour. If you don't know, I love sunshine, therefore my name on everything is Sunshine M's, and I would love to talk to you guys about what the Golden Hour mini series is going to look like. I love yapping to you guys weekly. It's super cathartic to let you into how I'm feeling, and I want to share this feeling with you guys. This series is where you can ask questions, tell stories you want me to react to, a place for you to be heard. You can be anonymous if you wish to. As much as I love this podcast, it is just me talking. But now, with this miniseries, it's us talking. Every week, I'll be sharing your stories, your what do I do moments, things you might be spiraling on, some wins that you're experiencing that you want to tell people, and all the uncomfortable in betweens. I would love for you guys to submit any relationship problems, heartbreak stories, friendship breakups, things you're spiraling about, some issues that you have with body image or work. Or if you even want to just share some of the wins that you're experiencing right now. And if you'd like, you can tell me something you haven't told anyone. I would love to make this real, authentic, and interactive because it's ours. So the first episode of that will be out next Tuesday, the 10th of March, 2026. I want to grow with you guys. If you don't know, I am a wellness and nutrition coach that focuses on self-love and being authentic and honest and living your truth. This is somewhere where we can communicate. And if you're interested, there is a link in my bio and in the episode description that has my link tree. It should be on there as Golden Hour Confessions Google form. I will share those on my podcast every Tuesday because I like how I feel after recording an episode to get things off of my chest. And so I invite you guys to join in on the conversation. If you have any questions, you're welcome to DM me or comment below, and I'd love to get this conversation going. Thank you so much for listening to the Sunshine M's podcast. I am Emily, your host, and I can't wait to talk to you guys on Tuesday in this mini series, and then also continue this month's series as well. Next Friday, I will be talking about how growth can be really lonely and isolating and what I've done to work on that. I invite you to take what you need, leave what you don't, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for the mini series. Until then, keep showing up for yourself. I love y'all. Bye.